Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Excited to be launching this new project to you. Before we get started, Mitch, if you can just pop one screen forward, please. Just like to let everyone know that we are recording this session, so it's available for those people that couldn't join us this morning, or if you want to revisit it at some stage. If I can just ask everyone to turn their videos off, that would be great. And when we get to the video demonstration a bit further along in the presentation, I would encourage you all to have your volume up as high as you can to be able to hear it as clearly as possible. So the North Coast Food and Beverage Trail platform, as I said, very excited about this opportunity, and today's session will introduce this project to you and the trail mapping platform behind it. We'll have a demonstration from Alpaca, which is the mapping software that is used in the platform. We're joined today by Mitch Gunn from Destination New South Wales. He's actually going to be driving the presentation. Many of you may have met him. And also Nadia Freeney from ATDW, who's going to work through how to amplify your ATDW listing to help get the most out of this platform. We'll talk a bit to timelines and activities and ways to engage and leverage this opportunity. We've got some upcoming food and agri-tourism workshops next week, which would be great if you could join those. And there's also the Festival of Food Open Weekend, which will launch the projects at the end. Everything being equal and on time, we'll have an opportunity for some questions and answers. I'm just wondering, I can't quite recall at the beginning if I actually introduce myself to those of you that don't know me. Jack Burnside, Industry Engagement Manager, Destination North Coast. Better late than never to do that piece. Mitch, if you could just go on, please. So the North Coast Food and Beverage Trail platform is an opportunity that's come to us through Regional Tourism Bushfire Recovery Grant funding. And one of the reasons that we opted for this platform is based on consumer demand more than anything, and the opportunity that food trails bring to a region, and the people that tend to travel to enjoy food opportunities tend to be high yielding in that they spend more when in region. In fact, the World Food Travel Association suggests that the economic benefit of foodie tourists, if you like, can be 25% more than your average visitor, I guess your average flop and drop type visitor. And I think we've seen that in the last few months, 6 to 8 months, 10 months, with domestic tourists coming to our region. They're very happy to drop quite a lot of coin on restaurants on a very nice bottle of wine or a very nice bottle of gin or whatever their poison may be, whereas they may still be staying in more budget accommodation, but they're choosing to spend their disposable income on food and beverages. It also, the Food and Beverage Trails aligns strongly with the New South Wales Food and Wine Tourism Strategy and Action Plan, which is important as well. Thanks, Mitch. So what is this project and platform? It's a dynamic digital platform that showcases North Coast food, beverage and agri product, and it's really going to assist us to attract new customers to the region, whilst also giving more options for people that are used to coming into our region and are looking to explore a bit further and a bit wider within the region. We really think it will work to increase the appeal of the region, building awareness that we are a foodie destination and that we have a lot to offer in that space. All of our activities are to encourage visitors to stay longer and spend more. That's sort of at the core of what we try to do. From a stakeholder point of view, from a what's in it for you point of view, we think it will improve your opportunity to reach new customers, and there's no cost in this because the marketing and activation is coming from our side. So we're also doing some activities that'll help build capacity with you to enhance your existing product and experience, or look at developing new products and new experiences that meet this changing market. And I think we've had this influx of domestic travellers new to our region for the last year and a half. We want to be giving them options to stay with us through the journey and come back again and again, even when international does open up. We want to increase opportunities for collaboration and cross-promotion between our foodie product and experiences. So that's some activity that will also be happening over the next few months. And it's really important for this project and others that we increase the quantity and the quality of our Australian tourism data warehouse listings. So on the New South Wales side, that's the Get Connected program. And the trail platform is going to be housed, if you like, or hosted on visitnewsouthwales.com. So that means it has a home indefinitely, even after this initial influx of activity that we'll be doing. And that will then enable the platform and all of you to benefit and leverage from Destination New South Wales's ongoing marketing activity. Thanks, Mitch. So importantly, we want it to be, it is a consumer-facing platform. It's really geared at addressing individual visitor needs. So it's consumer-centric. It's an easy-to-use mapping tool that enables visitors to design their own trails. So if they've got a particular interest in breweries, shall we say, don't we all, then they can cherry pick breweries and build a route that will enable them to head off for a half day, a day, and explore the region's breweries. They might have a particular interest in farmers markets or in pick your own type experiences. Again, those sorts of themes can be designed within the trail. If they don't know what they want, then again, we've designed some curated itineraries to help give them some direction in that regard. It allows full customization, so they can, as I said, choose a theme or not, choose a region, a sub-region within our region or not, or just take the whole gamut from the map and then cherry pick as things take their interest. One of the real benefits that we feel the platform and the map does is it improves access for off the beaten track or for smaller food tourism suppliers that maybe don't have a budget to really reach interstate visitors, for example, or market their product to a diverse and larger audience. So it will provide an additional distribution platform for them. So we've designed it to help visitors form a deeper emotional response to the region. That is what will keep them coming back again and again, delving deeper and further into our region. Dispersal is always key to the activities that we do. How do we get people away from the busier coastal areas into the hinterland and spreading the wealth, I guess, of that visitor further and wider? So, are you ready to meet the North Coast Flavour Trails brand? Here it is. There's been a lot of work go on in the background, and thanks to the team at Destination New South Wales for their work in building this brand and brand suite that goes behind it. Thanks, Mitch. I'm just going to end this section just to show you how it might look when it's on merchandise. And you can imagine on a trail guide, Mitch is going to show you what it'll look like on the website, but perhaps on, I don't know, fridge magnets or signage at your venue. It's a really, I think, a compelling brand, and we're looking forward to seeing it spread far and wide. I'm just going to hand to Mitch now, and he's going to go through the Alpaca platform, and then I'll circle back at the end and speak a bit more to some of the other activities. Thanks, Mitch.
Thanks, Jack. Much appreciated. Can everyone hear me okay? I can only see Jack on my screen, so a nod from her will let me know I'm good to go. Yeah, so look, I think a lot of you that are probably on the call have had some dealings with me in the past. As Jack said, I work for Destination New South Wales. I'm specifically tasked with working with Destination North Coast. I look after the North Coast region across a multitude of projects that affect you as stakeholders in said region. This is a big one for us. That's why I'm involved. I'm not a marketing expert or a web development expert. There's a lot of other people behind the scenes that I'm coordinating that are doing a lot of the heavy lifting. So a big thanks to them. But today I have the pleasure of walking you through a preview of the platform itself, I guess, and how a user may interact and engage with what will be the Flavour Trails website on visitnewsouthwales.com. So full disclosure, this isn't the finished product. We're still in design and testing phase for both the website and the map functionality. But look, that's fine, because today is really about a precursor event, bringing this to light for you. So while we're working on it still behind the scenes up until November, when we're going to launch, you can be ready, well prepared and well positioned to take advantage of this opportunity when it launches. So on that note, straight into it, you can see on the screen now some of the design elements of the Flavour Trails website. It won't look specifically like this, but these are some of the creatives and the design elements that we're working on. Obviously, we want it to be really visually appealing, but also easy to navigate for the user. The interactive map there that you can see on the top right section will be the key feature, but we also want to ensure we're maximising user engagement and encouraging what we call like additional exploration on the site. So they're spending more time exploring lots of different things across the region. And I guess what's really, really exciting about this is this level of functionality, while it exists in other areas of Visit New South Wales, it doesn't exist to this level anywhere else in terms of the interactive nature of a map. So this is a first for Visit New South Wales. It's really exciting for the North Coast. So hats off to Michael and Jack for working on this and putting it forward for you guys. We'll also be featuring some curated travel itineraries for inspiration. You can see some of those feature tiles on the bottom right of your screen. And there'll be some other relevant information around planned events, some widgets and tiles. Jack will talk a little bit about what that planned event might look like at the end of this presentation. Just for some context, as I mentioned, some of this functionality exists on the road trip pages of visitnewsouthwales.com. We work with Alpaca Travel to do this, and we've got a really strong working partnership and history of delivering results around those engagement pieces that I spoke about. Just to kind of set the scene for you, top line stats for road trips at the moment, 2.1 million views and counting for those road trip pages with this similar technology. There's an average session time of 3.5 minutes per user on those other pages. So they're spending a lot of time looking through maps and exploring on the road trips pages, which we hope and know will then translate across to this North Coast featured section. There's also already roughly 2.8 million views of the North Coast destination pages, whether that be the Tweed, Barrington Coast, Port Macquarie, Coffs, Kyogle, Byron, Clarence Valley, you name it. Hopefully I haven't missed one there. There's probably one or two. So the fact that there's 2.8 million people going to those destination pages per year already means that this is a great place for this platform to sit. We also want to make sure, obviously, that it's really mobile friendly and highly engaging for a mobile user. Around 70% of customers view visitnewsouthwales.com as a website on their mobile devices. And we know it'll be even higher for this platform, given that a lot of the marketing will be targeting those travellers already in region or travelling to region using their phones in the car, not while driving, while sitting in the passenger seat, we hope, or already at their accommodation or in region looking for other things to do. So what's really exciting now too, and I'm not going to do this because our wonderful friends at Alpaca, who are the tech developers, have designed a lot of this and done a video for us, is take you for a walk through the map itself. So this will allow you to visualize how a traveller might find your business or plan a trip in your region, which will then speak when Nadia comes on from ATDW about how you need to get engaged and make sure your maps look. So drum roll. Does everyone see the map on the page? Great. I just want to make sure that we're sharing sound.
Everyone can just pop their own volume on high. I think it will help.
Yes, please do. And Jack, just give me a nod or a thumbs down if you can't hear anything when we start.
Welcome to your North Coast Flavour Trails guide. This is a highly visual map-based guide that will help visitors uncover different food and beverage experiences in your region and inspire them to plan road trips of their own. When someone lands on the guide, we want to make it as flexible for them as possible to find what they're looking for. They could take control of the map to see what's in a particular town, or they can use the filters we've set up on the left-hand side to refine their search. A visitor may know what region they're visiting in particular, and therefore they can use the region filter to start their planning. By scrolling down this list, the regions will indicate on the mini-map to give context and relativity, and they can click into any of the regions and the listings will filter to show them what's within that area. Or maybe they're the kind of traveller with no fixed destination, but they're guided by the type of experience they're looking for. So in that case, that traveller may start their filtering and search process by clicking on the thematic categories on the left-hand side. Maybe they're looking for places to find local produce, fruit picking, or farmers markets. Maybe they're guided by a winery road trip or breweries and distilleries. Maybe they're looking for an experience or an event. Our event filter offers them to refine their search even further by dates and types of events. Finally, there's the type of traveller who doesn't have the confidence to plan their own road trip and rather wants to be inspired by a pre-curated trail to get them started. This is where the Inspire Me section will come in, and the pre-curated road trips will be a starting point for someone to put together their own journey or follow it as it is. Okay, so now it's time to dive into the guide and start planning my own road trip. I know I have about a week off. I'm coming from the north, from the Gold Coast region, and I'm really into beer and spirits. I'm not yet sure where I want to go, but I love uncovering new boutique breweries and distilleries. So I'm going to start my search by using these thematic filters on the left. This gives me a good starting point. I can see where some of the places that I might like to add to my journey are. I can see where they are in relation to each other and approximately how many are in the region. I could either filter through this list on the left-hand side or on the map, depending on my own preference. I'm going to use the map to give me a little insight into what these icons represent. And then I'm going to click into the one that interests me to find out a little bit more information. At this point, we're pulling in all the ATW content for this business listing. We see their photo gallery, any accessibility data, their contact details, and any other attributes they've assigned to their business. This will be different for each business depending on what's been added. And importantly, things like opening hours. At this point, I could visit their website to read a little bit more about the business, or in this case, I'm going to shortlist it because it looks like an interesting place to visit, so I'm going to book a market. So now that I've bookmarked a listing up in this Byron Bay area, I'm keen to explore a little bit more about this area. So what I'm going to do is add a filter on top of my brewery selection, and it's going to hone me in on this Byron Bay and Ballina area in particular and help me refine my search. So while I'm in the area, I'm going to also look at the 7 Mile Brewer and Lord Byron Distillery. But what about just north of here? Maybe I'll also extend my search to looking around the Tweed area. Okay, I think I'm going to add another one to my list. And at this point, it'd be really interesting to also add some places to eat and drink. Yes, my trip is probably defined by the breweries and distilleries I'm going to follow, but we also need to eat along the way. So I'm now going to look at some food options. I really like Mexican. This looks like a good place to add. I'm going to zoom out to see what else I can find. Oh, another Mexican. Perfect. I'm on the beach. I'm going to add that to my list as well. You'll notice at this point that we've got these little directional labels that will appear on the map. What they're doing is they're trying to give context and relativity at every point within this journey to the consumer. Not everyone knows where these key destinations are, and they don't know how long and how far between them. So we're just trying to facilitate that process for people who are unfamiliar with the region. Okay, so I know I'm going to be spending a bit of time in this region. It may be worth also looking into accommodation so that I can stay more than one night. If I zoom into the map, you'll start to see grey icons appearing, and these are accommodation providers. These sit at a second tier of hierarchy on the map because the goal of this map is a food and wine experience, but we know that if we want to keep people in region longer, we have to make it easy for them to also find places to stay. So once they've distilled their options for their food and beverage trip, they can zoom into the map at any point within any town, and it is going to display all of the ATW accommodation listings for them to explore and also add to their list. So now I've got a pretty good list going. You'll see in the top right-hand corner, my trip planner is building up a list of 7 places. Let's have a look at what's in those places.
Mitch, I think we might have lost sound.
Sorry for that, folks. Multiple screens opening. Yeah, I don't know why it stopped sharing sound. Look, let's spend 15 seconds trying to get it going again. And then if it doesn't, I think you get the general gist anyway. All that Zoe will be doing now is showing you how you can reorder your trip on a map and then a mobile view. But I'll try and get it going. If not, we'll keep moving along. 1 second.
Thanks, Mitch. For anyone that was on Tuesday's session, you'll realise technology wasn't my friend then, but we will try and get this going. The video and this recording will be available afterwards. So this last little couple of minutes, if we miss it today, we'll pick it up in the recording. But back to you, Mitch. Hopefully this is going to work.
Yeah. Can you see the map again, Jack? Is the map on the screen? Cool. I'll just try and it says we are definitely sharing sound. But nothing seems to be happening whatsoever with said sound, does it? No. I can't hear anything.
No, never mind. We got the gist of it, Mitch. So I think
yeah, well, look, there's a minute to go. As I said, I won't let it run through the whole time, but just while it's on the screen. Sorry, I'm standing over there. So what Zoe's doing is using the trip planner functionality for the map. So she's picked all of the places that she is interested in, and then she's clicked on that trip planner function on the top right-hand side of the screen, reordering the experiences in the order that she wants to visit them in, and then plotting out her journey. So it gives you the distance functions and the routes. She's now moved across to the mobile view, just so you can get an indication of how someone who's sitting in a car or already in region, in their accommodation, out on their deck, having a drink, might be scrolling through. So still really user-friendly and functional from a mobile perspective. Just some of the widgets and the display are then obviously optimized in a different format to make sure that it's still really clear for someone who wants to plan. So all the exact same level of filtering functionality. It just has that swipe version in it, which some people do like, some people don't. Each to their own. Generally, on the whole, we find though the research shows that when you heat map how people are using mobile devices, that they tend to swipe. So we've built in this swipe functionality. So you'll always see the map. You're now down in specific product view. So just looking at a specific product that Zoe's selected. But when you bounce back out of that, it's literally still a map view that you can zoom in and out on, but a swipe function through each product itself. And that is the end of the video anyway. So I think we did all right. Not too bad. I have no idea why the sound stopped sharing then. Very, very strange. And now it's going to be super fun for me because I had to shut my PowerPoint down. So Jack, I might need you to fill for 20 seconds here, like I mentioned, while I just bring everything back up.
Okay, Phil, I can do. One of the things that we love about the platform is the fact that you can email it to yourself, you can email it to friends. So when you design your route and you pick your, let's say, I don't know, your 4 brewery day, shall we say, and you build your route, you can share it to your mobile device, share it with friends. If you're a print off type person, you can do that as well. So it's really interactive and obviously made to be consumer centric, so that designing the route, selecting what you want is important. And as Zoe said in the demonstration, it's absolutely a food and beverage agri-tourism leading product. But when you zoom down at a local level, we obviously want accommodation to be plottable, so that we can get people who may have been thinking to come for a day to decide to stay for a night or stay for the weekend. So that's the second tier of hierarchy within the map. You don't see it at the higher level on the map, but then when you zoom down, you do see it. That's my 15 minutes, Mitch. How are you going?
Great filling. Good stuff. So I'm just going to share my screen again now, folks, and I think everything going to plan. We should be back on a slide that shows Tropical Fruit World, if I'm not mistaken. I think I still have Shona on the call. Sorry to call you out, Shona. She's not shy though, she'll be fine. Yeah, so just lastly from me, yes, today is all about the map and how to get your product on the map and looking great so people click on it and then come out to your product and or experience and spend money and tell people about it. But I think what the really, really important thing to realize also is that the longevity or the success of this Flavour Trails platform will ultimately be determined by consumer engagement and the quality of the on-the-ground experiences that people have. It's really important to remember that, you know, visitors might get in their car, make a booking, come out and see you, but they're not going to keep coming, keep spending money, sharing their experiences on social media or whatever review platforms, spreading the word about Flavour Trails unless they have a great experience. And that really comes back down to developing your said product and or experience so it's meeting consumer expectations. So before I hand over to Nadia, who is going to give you all the critical information about how to look great on this map and catch the attention of the viewer so they come to you in the first place. Please, 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 whenever you get the chance, go on to the Destination New South Wales First website. This information is also available on the Destination North Coast website as well, and have a look at what the New South Wales First program has on offer. It was established to help New South Wales tourism businesses develop, promote and sell, as those brochure tiles there suggest. They're on the website. There's lots of online video tutorials, business guides and tips, but you can also just reach out to either Destination New South Wales or Destination North Coast to have a chat about any help you might want in terms of guiding or developing your business through these stages. Wherever you're at, it doesn't matter. We're there for a conversation. And, you know, Jackie is an expert in this. This is what she is employed to do. She is your industry engagement manager. We also have a team of product and industry specialists at Destination New South Wales that have this sort of experience. So please take that opportunity. It all works part and parcel. On that note, I'll hand over to Nadia. I think, Nadia, you're going to drive your own screen, or do you want, I can run through?
Yeah, either or, Mitch. If you've got it up, then that's easier
let's do
than
it.
being over. Yeah.
You just give me the next slide, please. Comment whenever you're ready. Yeah.
No worries. Thank you, Mitch. That was a great video and presentation. So, and thanks for having me here today. I'll just quickly introduce myself to everyone that may not have met me, but Nadia Feeney, I'm platform manager at ATDW. So I oversee, I guess, the continual development and improvement of the ATW online platform, where you enter your valuable industry content and products in to get this this marketing exposure. So I'll move on to the next slide, Mitch. A little bit about what ATW is for those that may not have heard about us, and I hope absolutely everyone has, because that would mean that you are going to be featured through and shown on the Flavours Trail app. But essentially, ATW, we're Australia's largest lifestyle and tourism content platform, and the primary source really of destination promotional content for Australia, owned collectively by the state tourism organisations of Australia. So we work closely with Destination New South Wales and each of the states. I'll switch over to the next slide because I think I'm starting to talk to that one. So owned collectively by them and established over 20 years ago, I guess, for the purpose of creating efficiencies for the industry to get them online back at the time. And obviously online and digital has evolved since then, but that continues to be our core purpose. We have over 50,000 products in ATW and 260 online distributor websites that showcase that content out to consumers globally. So I'll flick over to the next slide. I just wanted to touch on this slide. I guess it speaks a little bit to the value of why you should be on ATW. and I guess our reach from the products as well. So this is a funnel showing our performance. And I guess we did some work recently with the data experts in each STO to come up with this information. And this is their data that drove this representation here. So what we have here showing at the top of the funnel is that ATW profiles, or on the STO websites, collectively, they received over 55 million visits in last year's calendar year. So that was 20 to 21, which was, 2020, which I guess was obviously probably one of the hardest years that we've experienced for tourism, in the last while. And so that's a staggering number. But out of that, what I wanted to pull out of this slide really quickly is that of those visits to STO websites, we've been able to track that 3 out of 4 people that come onto an STO website are actually viewing an ATW product. And that's from the great and exceptional marketing and I guess the development and designs of those websites that the state tourism organisations and particularly Destination New South Wales do to funnel down those visitors and push them in the right direction to get back to your ATW profile. And that's exactly what Mitch was talking about before, about having it bookable, having those contacts to make sure they have somewhere to go to. And I guess just one more stat out of that 3 out of 4 that jump onto, visit New South Wales will then view an ATW profile. And of those, where we've got a data showing that nearly 30% of those will actually click through on one of your profiles to click to maybe your website, your social page, or your booking button. So 30% conversion rate on a lead is just, extraordinary. And I guess a lot really good value in terms of what you may pay for other marketing spend in the industry. So I'll move on from that slide. And this one I think I touched to a little bit earlier, but I guess, the key highlight here are ATW's role and, our sole purpose are the tourism operators. We exist solely to support the industry, and you give purpose to the technology that we build. The platform that we use, we're driven by your feedback, by your insights, by what consumer research we're getting from the States, from Tourism Australia, to continue to improve that platform. And I guess it's showcasing what we would love is to have, full coverage of every offering and experience in the industry, the full breadth and depth of the industry to be able to showcase to consumers to make sure that everyone's getting value and driving those people to your business. So I'll flick on again. And quickly touch on, I did mention the 260 distributor websites. So I guess, a lot of those are primarily the Australia.com website, Visit New South Wales, as we mentioned. And in a lot of cases, you'll have either your regional or local councils. We do have really excellent coverage of a lot of the regions and councils, particularly New South Wales, Queensland, those areas where we have those. So I know Tweed's a distributor, and there's quite a few others in that local area as well that are distributors where your profile will show up, depending on their strategy around the area of content they show and the type of information, whether it's accommodation, attractions, or tours and events. And there's also some commercial operators, distributors, websites that show content across the entire nation. So there's generally a handful of websites that you'll be eligible to be displayed on through your ATW profile. I'll move on to the next one. Quickly touch on why you need to be on ATW. I guess, most of the information previously, but the top 2 lines there say it all. It's completely free, so absolutely why not? Takes a bit of time, obviously, to set up, provide your photos, write a great description, and then manage that ongoing. But otherwise, it's completely free. And you can just, I guess, think of us as your digital shopfront. So even when you're closed or your business is not accepting visitors, your ATW profile is still working for you in the background across those distribution partners 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, no matter when your consumers, internationally around the world or in different parts of Australia, someone might be sitting up at 2 a.m. and not being able to sleep and thinking, I will need a holiday, where am I going to look? And your profile is still working for you because it is that digital shopfront. We've also got a dedicated team at ATDW, as Mitch touched on, there's a team at New South Wales, but yeah, we've also got a team here as well that are reviewing your profiles that you can contact. There's a chat bot on ATW to get support. You can also book 15-minute sessions with one of our team through our Ask ATW platform. So yeah, I guess they're the main things as to why you need to be on ATW, and essentially to be part of this campaign as well, and many others that Destination New South Wales do. So I'll touch on this slide here, is particularly about the Flavour Trails site itself, and what sort of categories and you know, the content that we've selected that are actually feeding through into some of those filters on the site. So these icons you would have seen in Mitch's presentation earlier in the video. So the food icon then has 2 subcategories or sub options below it. And to be included in one of those, what the content pulling through is from our food and drink category when you create a profile in there. And then you select either in the restaurant and cafe subtype. So I'll use a screenshot in a minute, but I'll just go through these to show you where you can select those. And then local produce is also a food and drink category profile with the subtype of produce. So each one of these moving forward are a similar type thing. So food and drink category breweries, so you've got then the brewery subtype, wineries and bars, they're all within the food and drink category as well. So obviously this platform is focused heavily on food and drink. So that's why a lot of the profiles that are filtering through and having icons on the platform are from that category. But there are some others when you move into produce, experiences, and particularly the events that are from some other categories. So I'll call out like farmers markets that tend to be listed under the event category. And so you can select either food and wine or markets as your subtype for events to be able to filter through into that section on the application. And fruit picking, I'll call out just another one. There is no specific subtype for fruit picking. But what will be happening is the Destination New South Wales team will be going and identifying any profiles that do relate to that sector and tagging them specifically in the application. So if you do think that you may be missed or not showing up in that category, please reach out to possibly Jack or the Destination New South Wales team, and they'll be able to apply that tag for you. The last big ones there are cooking schools and also the tours. So if you're a tour that runs tours in the area and offering that under experiences, just make sure you've got the food and wine tours option under that category selected as well. And similarly for events, food and wine. So obviously you can see a theme here that's very food related. So as long as you're selecting those types of things, your profile will show up in the site. And as Zoe touched on the video, there will also be accommodation under all subtypes in accommodation showing up as that secondary sub-level navigation. So I'll flick through and show a screenshot here. And this is showing where the category, where you'll find your category. So when you do create a listing or a profile, initially you have to select one category. You can only have one category. And then under subtype, you'll see food and drink type as the second menu item there. And this is where we were talking about on the previous slide. You've got bars, breweries, cooking schools. These types of options will determine where your profile shows up on the application. You can select multiple on this screen. But also I would like to note that if your business or your product does have 2 vastly different experiences on the same site, we can recommend that in some cases it's beneficial to actually split those out into 2 different listings or 2 different profiles. So say, for example, you're a B&B, but you've also got, say, a cafe or a restaurant on site as well. We find that sometimes those like accommodation or a motel in the area that has that, they'll generally just list in the accommodation category being their primary offering. And then note in their description that they do have a restaurant. But I guess what we're suggesting is maybe also creating a dedicated restaurant listing or a food and drink for your cafe or your restaurant so that you're getting that double exposure for that. And that then will mean that you're showing up in different sections of both this campaign as well as on newsouthwales.com as well in different areas. We'll flick over to the next slide, which starts to talk about optimizing your profile, and particularly for the Flavour Trails campaign, specifically, obviously you're seeing that when you click on one of the little dots on the map, the thing that's showing front and center on the top of your screen is your image, and it's generally a hero image. So I guess you're wanting to make sure that your images are really high quality, they're distinctive, they're captivating. They're showing maybe people engaging in your product and experience, and not just like a cup of coffee sitting on a table, showing someone drinking it, sipping it, that type of thing, or eating the food. So making sure it's really visually captivating, because that's what's going to get people to click then on your profile and find out more. Your description as well, using SEO methodology, making sure you're highlighting what your unique offering is, your location, the name of your business, all of those within the first line of your description are primary, like a key important information, because that's what's showing up in your little profile. So pulling out the key highlights, making sure they're what an operator or a consumer will read first, because if you're not sort of grabbing their attention and finding, they'll quickly move on. With digital at the moment, there's so much content being flooded at us, so you really have to, capture them with some really exciting and unique offering in your description. Obviously, video is more emotive and informative. So if you've got video, we recommend putting that on. You can have up to 10 videos on your profile, up to 10 photos as well. So definitely include as many of those as you've got. And I think that one of the key things here is also we've got a deals and offers category or a section within your profile, which has been released about a year ago. And what this deals and offers is it enables you to have like a little value add to your profile as well. If you're offering, say, a 2-for-1 deal or 30% off through summer, something like that, you can add that in. And what that does, not specifically on the Flavour Trails site, but on, say, Destination New South Wales or on some of the other distributor websites, will actually mean that your deal will show up on a different page. So your profile is essentially being marketed on 2 different sections of that distributor website, on the normal search section and the deals section. So it's a great way for just a couple of minutes to double your exposure and also create urgency for consumers wanting to say, yep, I really want to, grab this deal now and book. And the last thing on this slide is really create seasonal content, update it. If it's winter and there's different crops in season, it's apples or it's wine or things like that, definitely go and modify your description to make sure, and your information or your photos, to make sure you're talking to what consumers may be looking for and searching for, what's key that time of year. Definitely don't discount the other information, but, make sure that that's front and center, what is seasonal, and coming in and updating as regularly as you can. So I'll flick through to the next one. This one I don't really talk too much, but I guess essentially, as you saw in the profiles that are shown on the video, they're pulling in a lot of information like accessibility, the facilities that you have at your product. Sorry. But there's also options there to kind of fill in as much of the content in ATW as possible, because all of those different fields where they may not be particularly shown on a website, they may be used to find your product to show in various campaigns, different things like that. And probably the highlight from this screen is if you do have a bookable experience, that leads to conversion. So having that book now, there's a preferred URL that you can put in your profile that generally will show as a book now button on your profile. And without having that URL, you may not get that button. So that's vitally important as well, to give the consumer an option just to click and book. If they're in the mood, they see it, they love it, they can book, as opposed to having to sort of maybe go off to your website, try to find a booking page or give you a call. That just gives them, straight, direct line through. So I'll move on to the next slide. And this quickly, I won't touch on much, I know, because we're short on time, but just talking about the future of ATW, we recently released our integration with Google My Business, which enables your ATW profile and content to also feed through to Google, which is an exciting advancement for us. And in the next couple of weeks to a month, we'll be releasing an update to our Insights dashboard, which is starting to show more detailed stats about your profile, where you're showing up and things like that. And then later this year, we're also working on an exciting translation feature where we're looking to translate content to be ready for when the international borders open. So we're just trying to get, one step ahead of that, and have your content in market language for, we're hoping, a huge influx of visitors internationally that will want to come and visit Australia once we do have those borders open. So I'll flick on to the next slide. And I think that's about it from me. So my contact details there as well, or there is the Ask ATW system that if you do have any queries, feel free to reach out and contact us. Thanks, Jack.
Thank you, Nadia. Great. And I think if everyone hasn't got the message, improving and amplifying your ATDW listing, as well as your product and experience, is really the answer to getting the most out of this platform. But just moving on quickly, because we are running a bit short of time, but I just wanted to highlight the ways that you can get involved. And I guess by attending this webinar, you're already involved, and I hope you're excited as I am. I watched that video that Zoe did and that Mitch went through, and I get a little bit tingly and just think what a great opportunity this is to really showcase our food and beverage products. So hopefully you'll have a bit of an understanding of what the platform does and how to engage with it. And again, just that improving your ATDW listing will amplify the opportunity. If everyone doesn't already do this, an annual update is an absolute minimum to keep your content fresh, but we would really recommend, as Nadia mentioned, a seasonal update, a quarterly update. When you've got new imagery, new video, please put it up. It really does keep it fresh. The other thing is that because the data that you load into the ATDW platform is what feeds visitnewsouthwales.com, Tourism Australia, the australia.com website. If your product isn't in there, Destination New South Wales cannot include you in marketing activities or media for Mills or trade for Mills when they come back on. So if you're not in the platform, the ATDW platform, your product is not displaying on Visit New South Wales, the call to action for all of the state's tourism and event marketing. So you are invisible, if you like, if you're not there. So I can't stress enough how important it is to be listed, but also to have a good listing. I popped our newsletter sign up link in the chat. That is our main channel for sharing news and updates about not just this opportunity, but developments as they occur and future opportunities. So I would really suggest signing up to our newsletter if you haven't already. We do have some food and agri-tourism workshops next Thursday, run in conjunction or delivered by Regionality, who some of you might know is really their bread and butter in the agri and food provenance and food tourism space. I haven't popped the links in there, but they went out in yesterday's newsletter, and we will have another reminder on Monday or Tuesday next week. So look out for that, but you can put a save the date in for those times. They're both on Thursday, the 14th. So take note of that. And again, just the success of the platform will really be determined by the overall quality and quantity of the products and experiences and how well they're showcased on ATDW. Thanks, Mitch. I did say I would speak to timelines. We are a little bit short, but this is part of the industry engagement piece within the project stages, and we will be producing a bit of a brand toolkit and also, just information on how to get involved. So watch this space, I guess. And if you're not signed up to the newsletter, then it will be harder for us to get that to you. Thanks, Mitch. And just lastly, last but not least, shall we say, the North Coast also was the beneficiary of some recovery for regional tourism funding, and we've utilised some of that funding to plan a festival of food, shall we say, open weekend, which will be a launch event for the platform. If anyone in the Northern Rivers sections, but others may have been up for it, there's a mud trail, the Northern Rivers mud trail. It's a little bit like that. We're looking to have food and beverage and agri operators open for business on this weekend, having some extra behind the scenes activities, micro events, if you like, maybe live music to bring people in, but then activities around the food, particular tasting sessions, those sorts of things. We have done a call out, and we will be doing a further call out for businesses and or event organisers to put forward event ideas that will act as a hero event to showcase the food and beverage of the region on the weekend of the Festival of Food. We're just looking to showcase 8 or 10 from across the region, and also with some diversity in the type of event. So if you've got ideas, or if you've previously run a foodie event that you think might be great, we don't have funding to support the events, but the marketing that we're putting behind the festival weekend will help gain extra exposure for such an event. So we have canvassed the area, and we'd settled on the 5th and 6th of March as being halfway between the Christmas holidays and Easter break. We're just having a little rethink about that particular date at the minute, so watch this space. It's just that Destination New South Wales have a pretty major new brand launch going out in February, which would be right at the time that we want to hit the market. So we're considering pushing it to the last weekend in March, but that decision will be made today or Monday. So again, if you've signed up to our newsletter, we'll be communicating that way. We will also engage an industry liaison and event coordinator to support activation for this weekend event, and that will be helping gather your information about what you're doing specifically across that weekend to make your product shine, if you like. You're behind the scenes, you'll meet the maker, whatever it might be. Thanks, Mitch. So as I said, we need these hero events, and we'll be doing a call out for those, and they'll be promoted through the activity that we do for this Festival of Food open weekend, and it will just give a boost to that event. And we will be again doing a call out to you guys, our partners in this, if you like, to activate your product and business with special offers, back of house tours, whatever it may be, that will really lift your game, if you like, across that weekend, and get the visitors that we bring into the region excited about and engaged with your product and with the region. So the success of the festival does really rely on your engagement with this festival open weekend, and with activation of your product through that time. And that in turn will support the trail platform, because we will be using it as mapping platform for people to find their way from micro event to micro event, if you like. Thanks, Mitch. I think that might be my last slide. We're really right on 11 o'clock. Goodness me, couldn't have planned it better. And I did note that there was a question from Thomas in the chat, just one that I saw come through about the route map. It is, does it show the kilometres between the selected stopping points plus an overall kilometre total? And I believe the answer to that is yes. Mitch, do you have?
Correct. Yeah, Thomas, thank you. I haven't been able to see any of the chat questions while I've been sharing the screen, so sorry, I've sort of left that right till the end for you. Yeah, and probably what we missed in some of that video audio at the end is the fact that, yeah, if you hover over the map, once you've created a journey yourself in that trip planner view, it gives you a kilometre destination between each point and an overall one as well. You can turn on what's called routes in the trip planner view, and it shows that route for you. Just on that note too, something good to mention, we find the UX, I guess, consumer journey, consumer experience journey, sorry, I should say, the UX experience around the alpaca map, what Zoe has told us, Zoe is the business owner and managing director of Alpaca who we work with, is that although we have that functionality in Alpaca, generally speaking, what people still tend to do, because they're so familiar with it and they are a leader in this space, is they'll still go out and click on Google Maps for each individual product. So just adding as well, what you can do via ATDW, and this is built into the information you put in, when you're actually click down to product view and you're in, let's say, Thomas, so Coastal Brewing in Foster in your area on the Barrington coast, there's a URL that says get directions, and that links you out to Google Maps wherever you're geo-located to where Coastal Brewing have put in their geo point in their ATDW listing. So people can do it that way as well. And Alpaca have said they tend to do it more that way than on their trip planner view, which is still great, but you got both options. Yeah.
Thanks, Mitch. And nice segue. Helen, I think, from Coastal Brewing, just coincidentally, also asks what...
Good example by me.
What's the timing for the launch? So the platform and the microsite, which will be hosted on Visit New South Wales, will go live early to mid-November. It will be a soft launch, and we'll be making sure that everything's working very smoothly. So it'll go live for you to engage with and just, I guess, realize the opportunity that it presents. And we'll be asking you to share with your networks and share with your customers. Get people starting to use the platform, but the marketing spend that we've got behind the platform will be focused on the festival weekend to really launch when we want you all to be activated. And if you're all activated, we obviously want visitors coming to you. So our marketing spend will be spent around that festival weekend early in 2022. So the soft launch will be in November. And then, but we would encourage everyone to have your best foot forward by November, because consumers will start to find the platform there. So that's when your new photos should be added, your compelling copy in your ATDW listing. And to be fair, it shouldn't just be cut and pasted from your website. It should be fresh and just get people excited so that they then click through to your socials or to your website, or ideally to your booking platform. So,
Jack, Jack, sorry, I know we're running short of time, but I might just add to that quickly. Probably something that's really critical for you all to know, and we haven't come out with this yet because we're working on it, and then Jack will send out the dates in an EDM, but we will be doing an industry launch webinar. So this is really just like I said, precursor, get ready, this is what's coming. Before we launch, or probably around the same time as we launch, because it's going to be a soft launch, we will host an industry launch webinar. Destination North Coast and DNSW are working together to build an industry toolkit. So there'll be a little bit more information specifically around the marketing activities, but then also the branded assets and files that you can use, whether it be video or photo, with the logos that you can then showcase through your own channels. Because I guess what we're getting at is, it's going to be a busy summer on the North Coast, right? Let's not beat around the bush whether some people want them there or not. People are coming. So we will host this webinar with launch soft launch, give you a bunch of assets that you can use yourself to promote it over summer. We can test it, refine it, and then come February, March, when the busy summer period is over, then we're going to boost it with some additional paid marketing activity around the festival, which is designed to get people to use the trails as well. So we'll strategically roll it out in that way. And we're all working on that at the moment, because as Jack said, is we want it to tie in with a bunch of statewide marketing activity that's going to be launching very shortly as well. I can't officially say the date, but you're definitely going to be seeing a lot more about what Destination New South Wales is doing statewide.
You heard it here.
Very soon. And like I said, that's going to drive people to visit newsouthwales.com anyway, and this platform's going to sit on it. So while it might not necessarily be a Flavour Trails campaign, it's all part of the same pie, and we just need to look at how all those bits and pieces fit in the best, so we're not overlapping marketing, messaging and brands and so forth.
Great, thanks, Mitch. Folks, we'll end it there. If you've got any questions, most of you know where I am. My email address is bdm@dncnsw.com. I'm not putting that in the chat. You might start emailing me, but you know where to find me. Really appreciate your time this morning. We will be sharing this presentation and the video demonstration so that you can, I guess, get a bit more familiar with it, and it won't be too long. We might be using a few of you for bug testing and things before we do that soft launch, if you like, mid-November. As Mitch said, we will have an industry launch probably first week of November. If you're not signed up to our newsletter, again, it'll be harder for us to reach you. So keep an eye out, and we've got those agri-tourism and food tourism online workshops next week, one in the morning and one in the afternoon on Thursday. So again, even if you've got a reasonably mature business and you think you've hit the nail with your product or experience, I would encourage you to attend. You can always learn some new tricks and tips, and just to enhance and, I guess, iron out any kinks, and there'll be an opportunity for questions on that one too. So really appreciate it. Nadia, thank you for your time this morning. Mitch, as always, and happy Friday, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
Jack. Thank you.
Well done. Excellent. Good job, all of you.